proved that they still got it 17 years after their last appearance as Mike Lowrey and Marcus Burnett. But can they pull it off again for the fourth time? After a 17-year hiatus, the Bad Boys are back with Bad Boys for Life, the franchise's third installment. This film has been teased almost since Bad Boys 2 came out, but getting it to the big screen has been a very difficult process. While the majority of reviews suggest that the new film will deliver on fans' expectations in terms of its action-comedy balance, it also has a few twists and turns along the way, making it likely that Bad Boys for Life won't mark the end of this franchise either. We're made aware early on in Bad Boys for Life that Will Smith's character Mike Lowrey's antagonists, Isabel Arites and her son Armando Armas, have a grudge against him. Considering that Mike's partner Marcus Burnett isn't involved, we don't doubt that this is an old grudge, but we don't find out the specifics of the connection until the film's ending. Mike Lowrey was placed on an undercover mission while still in the police academy, in part because no one would recognize him. He became a driver for the Arites drug cartel, and it was there that he met Isabel. When it came time for the police to start investigating the cartel, Mike was forced to decide because it turned out the two had become much more than just friends. He chose to let Isabel be arrested, but we later learned that Isabel was pregnant when she entered prison, and the child she gave birth to, the one who has been attempting to kill Mike all along, is his son. Isabel eventually admits this to be true. A final mid-credits scene reveals that Armando has survived and has started paying his debt to society, something he appears content with despite receiving serious injuries during the final battle. However, it seems that his father Mike may have a chance for him that could help him serve his sentence more quickly, though it's not made clear what that is. Despite the film's weak box office performance during its opening weekend, Bad Boys for Life debuted on January 14, 2020 to generally favorable reviews at the time of its publication. In fact, Bad Boys 4 was discussed alongside Bad Boys 3, and while the films did not film back-to-back as originally planned, it appears that the new film is setting the stage for at least one more installment.
I'm asking you, man. Bad Boys.
One last time. One last time.
It took 8 years after the original Bad Boys was released in 1995 for the sequel Bad Boys 2 to be released in 2003. In 2015, Sony Pictures revealed plans to make a third and even a fourth film. However, several pre-production issues involving the directors, screenwriters, and cast caused a delay in the process, which ultimately led to Bad Boys for Life becoming the main focus. Before we go any further, we wanted to let you know that it's time for you to smash that like button if you haven't done it already. However, just as the third film was about to be released in theaters, Sony Pictures began work on a fourth installment, raising the possibility that Bad Boys 4 will be available soon. It makes sense that Bad Boys 4 could have been released by 2023 given the production schedule for Bad Boys for Life. Because development has been slow, the release of the next installment in Bad Boys franchise will be delayed. There's already a built-in setup for Bad Boys 4's story, so getting that started shouldn't be too difficult. Although Smith's behavior at the Oscars shocked many viewers, it's undeniable that the actor is essential for the continuation of the Bad Boys franchise. From the first Bay movie back in 1995 to Bad Boys for Life 2 years ago, many people say that the chemistry between Smith and Lawrence is the main draw. The buddy cop dynamic between Mike and Marcus is what gives the franchise such heart, even though all three films have plenty of action and fight scenes. Bad Boys 4 would lose a crucial component to the success of the franchise if it were to proceed with just Lawrence and turn into a more typical action film. Fans can rest assured that Smith will most certainly return as Mike in Bad Boys 4, even though it doesn't sound like the film will start production anytime soon. Along with young members of the recently introduced Ammo team, we can anticipate seeing Jacob Scipio's Armando, Mike's son. Also, don't forget Paula Nunes, who played Mike Lowrey's former girlfriend, Captain Rita Cicada.
Boy, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna do when we come in?
No.
Despite having a 17-year gap between sequels, Bad Boys for Life caught both critics and audiences off guard. This has many fans anticipating what Bad Boys 4 will bring, especially since the threequel's author, Chris Bremner, has been tapped to return and pen the sequel script. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes Sony to figure out the code for Bad Boys 4 to deliver another thrilling installment in the franchise, given that the third movie took so long to get off the ground and proved worth the wait. Unfortunately, that stinger doesn't provide us with any additional information about this case, but it is fairly clear that Armando will be somehow connected to it. We're guessing that Bad Boys 4 will feature Lowry and Burnett attempting to deal with some shady new organization, one with which Armando has a degree of familiarity, trying to establish a foothold in Miami. The kid spent his entire life being raised by the wife of a ruthless drug lord to be an assassin for a Mexican cartel, so it stands to reason that he has inside information on all kinds of international criminal enterprises. It seems Mike made the right choice to help Armando find redemption because the movie ends with Armando showing interest in what Mike has to offer. At the moment, it's unclear what that chance would entail, but it makes sense that Armando would work with Miami PD on an investigation. Armando could be used to investigate other cartels operating in the area, since he's the last surviving member of the Arises cartel. We may delve even further into this unusual father-son relationship in Bad Boys 4 and witness unlikely anti-hero find redemption through hardship.
Armando, you're my son.
There's also Rita, his ex-girlfriend. Given that Rita is his new boss, he might find himself in a romantic arc with her once more. Since Rita has assumed leadership, things might improve. After all, he was constantly at odds with Captain Howard, and if that happens, would she be able to accept his son? All people have a history, but Armando's is not an easy one to accept. By the time the movie is over, Lowry and Burnett have completed their arcs. They're no longer hotshots youths. They're both older men, they're content with their places in the world, there's nowhere else for these characters to go. The more likely scenario, of course, is that Sony's planning to use Jacob Scipio and the Ammo team as the stars of their own spin-off, creating an action franchise in the Fast and Furious sense. But it seems like a mistake. Besides, the relationship between Smith and Lawrence remains at the heart of the Bad Boys franchise. What's the point if we take that away? Many film franchises can support an expanded cinematic universe. Bad Boys isn't one of them. Dealing with the past was at the heart of Bad Boys for Life. There was a lot of nostalgia involved, but Mike and Marcus were both aware that they weren't the same people they once were. They have more years behind them than in front of them, as Marcus said, but they adapted to the new regulations rather than hanging it all up and retiring, as Marcus briefly attempted to do. And because of that, you need to smash that subscribe button and notification bell, so you'll never miss any of our videos in the future. In other words, out with the old, in with the new, could be perfectly described as the Bad Boys for Life ending. Rita
Jackman is going to be joining Deadpool. There are going to be 2 Avengers movies in a single year. And there are going to be a lot of new Marvel comic superheroes that are going to be getting their own movies in 2023 and 2024. But first, let's start with Ant-Man and Wasp. The first movie that MCU is going to release in 2023 is going to be Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. The movie will hit theaters on February 17th, and it's going to star Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly. Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer will also be part of the movie, which will be directed by Peyton Reed and written by the genius Jeff Loveness. In this movie, the writing team decided to introduce Scott, Hope, Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, and Cassie to the quantum realm. This will not only push their limits, but it will also force them to fight King the Conqueror. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Following the events of Avengers Endgame, Gamora was brought back to life. The Guardians of the Galaxy are back. However, even after purchasing the Nowhere from the Collector, they still can't make a safe haven for all the alien refugees. A brutal attack devastates Nowhere, and they abduct one of their team members. So Star-Lord is forced to lead his team into a dangerous mission where they could all die. The movie is going to be released on May 5th, 2023, and it's going to be directed and written by the legendary James Gunn. The Marvels. Following the success of Captain Marvel, the MCU decided to smash that like button just like you should if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, MCU decided to add another movie to the franchise. However, this time, it's not going to feature just one female superhero. The Marvels, set to release in July of 2023, is going to feature Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. Iman Vellani will be taking on the role of Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau will be portrayed by Tiana Paris. The movie will be directed by Nia DaCosta, and the screenplay has been written by Megan McDonald. Captain America: New World Order. Following the events of Avengers Endgame, we will have a new Captain America. Chris Evans will no longer be playing the famous war veteran who fended off an alien invasion using Thor's hammer. After bequeathing the shield to Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, Anthony Mackie will now be the lead in the movie. He signed the contract to star in Captain America: New World Order back in August of 2021. But we still have no idea what the movie will be about. We just know that it will be released in May of 2024. We also know that the plot will be written by Malcolm Spellman, the head writer of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The director that Marvel tasked with creating this movie is none other than Julius Ona. Thunderbolts. With the release date set for July 26, 2024, Thunderbolts is going to be the 11th film in Marvel's Phase 5. Eric Pearson will be writing the script for the movie, with Jack Schreier sitting in the director's chair. The movie is going to begin production in 2023. We also know that Harrison Ford will be joining the cast, and he will be replacing the late William Hurt's character, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. The movie will feature Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, Ghost, played by Hannah John Kamen, the Red Guardian, portrayed by David Harbour. Winter Soldier will be taken on by Sebastian Stan. Taskmaster will be played by Olga Kurylenko, and John Walker, aka U.S. Agent, will be portrayed by Wyatt Russell. Blade. Marvel Studios won the rights to Blade a long time ago, but it was only during the San Diego Comic-Con in 2019 that they announced that they are going to make a new movie with the notorious vampire killer. Mahershala Ali, the actor with 2 Oscars under his belt, will be playing Blade in the upcoming movie. Initially, the movie was supposed to be released in 2022, but they postponed it to September 6, 2024. We don't know a lot about this movie. We just know that we heard his voice during the end credit scene of Eternals. Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods. Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods is going to be epic. That's all we'll say about that. Thanks to the director and the crew behind the team, we've got everything we need about this movie, except for the ending. We know that the daughters of Atlas, Hespera, played by Helen Mirren, and Calypso, played by Lucy Liu, are furious with Shazam for giving the powers of the gods to a bunch of children. They have mended the staff of Shazam and are now seeking vengeance. Anthea, played by Rachel Zegler, is going to play the 3rd and youngest daughter of Atlas. However, it seems to us that she will be on the side of the 6 Shazam superheroes. The movie will be released on March 17, 2023. And aside from epic battle scenes between gods, we will also see some mythical creatures revived in the movie. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button just like you should if you haven't done so already. But no, seriously now, Kraven the Hunter. Sergei Kravinoff is finally going to get his very own movie. The film wrapped with shooting earlier in 2022, but since they hadn't marketed it as well as other movies, they postponed the release date. We should expect the movie to hit theaters on October 6, 2023, and the actor leading the cast will be Aaron Taylor Johnson. Russell Crowe, Ariana DeBose, and Levi Miller are all set to appear in the movie alongside Kraven. And we know that the movie will follow the life of Sergei as he escapes from Russia at a very young age and becomes one of the richest and most popular bounty hunters. Even though he's one of the most popular Spider-Man villains, we know that Peter Parker won't be appearing in the movie, but maybe they're going to introduce him in the next Spider-Man movie, if there ever is one. Deadpool 3. Okay, being stoked about Deadpool is normal. The guy is a walking, talking legend. The movie is basically a stand-up routine with some awesome fight scenes mixed into it. No one can hate that. But that's not why we're anticipating the 3rd Deadpool movie. All of this angst has a lot to do with one name: Hugh Jackman. Whoa, wait a second. You mean Hugh Jackman is going to be in the movie? No, he's not going to be just in the movie. He's going to be back as Wolverine. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are best friends, and somehow, Reynolds managed to convince Jackman to forget what he said about being, quote, unquote, done with the role of Wolverine. He's going to be back in the new movie. Both announced it in a staged interview and thanked Kevin Feige. Why him? Well, apparently, Feige wants to introduce a new Wolverine into the upcoming X-Men movies, but he can't do that until Deadpool 3's release date. So Jackman is back, and the movie will air on November 8th of 2024. After that, we will probably see the X-Men merged into the MCU after all these years. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. Even the 5th Avengers movie is going to be released in 2025. We couldn't wait to talk about it. Why? Because there is some major news regarding the franchise. Initially, fans were bummed out to hear that Phase 4 and Phase 5 of the MCU wouldn't include any Avengers movies. But that doesn't mean this will continue in the 6th phase. In fact, in Phase 6, they're going to break all of the rules that they've been following so far. Not only are they going to release Avengers the Kang Dynasty at the beginning of the year, but they are also planning on releasing a second Avengers movie. And all that in the span of 12 months. That's right, we should expect Avengers Secret Wars to be released near the end of 2025. Judging by the title of the first movie, it's presumed that the movie will feature Kang, the most notorious and earliest of the Avengers villains in the comics. Daniel Cretton from Shang-Chi is set to direct this upcoming Marvel movie. And we know that the plotline will follow the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
The fourth installment of the Expendables franchise has been one of the most anticipated movies in the past few years. After multiple delays, Expendables 4 is less than a year away. So let's dive into this movie and let us show you everything there is to know about this movie and what you can expect from it.
I just got the location from a guy named Church, an agency spook.
Excuse me?
Over the years, we've heard the news about this fourth movie quite a few times. The first time news broke out about this movie was in 2014 with the possible release window of 2018. However, that didn't happen, according to many creative differences and behind-the-scenes issues were most likely the cause for these plans not to come true. Also in 2017, Sylvester Stallone exited the film's production with no intention of coming back. This was due to the many disagreements over the franchise's future and the direction of the fourth movie. Stallone was out and the movie was delayed. There was no point in continuing the franchise without Stallone as the leading character. After all, he has been the face of the Expendables, even though multiple big-shot actors have joined the franchise. After a rocky period that lasted years, Stallone announced that he will return to the franchise. However, he also announced that this will be his final contribution to the franchise unless future developments arise. Stallone has previously stated that he would like to leave the franchise in Statham's hands for any future installments. After he announced his return to the franchise, the fourth movie became quite possible. But with the poor performance at the box office of the third movie, the future of the series was left in doubt. In 2020, 6 years after rumors about this movie started circulating, things finally started to look better. The film finally went into production, which was handled by Lionsgate. Soon after, the film began filming, and by October 2021, Stallone announced in a short video that he had finished shooting his portion of the scenes for the film. In December 2021, it was confirmed that the filming had been wrapped. This movie has been in the works for a very long time, and the latest entry in the series, The Expendables 3, was released almost a decade ago. This is a very long wait for a new installment, but over the years, the entire production of the franchise has learned from its previous mistakes, and throughout these years, they wanted to make sure that the cast and the story were just right in order to do the movie justice.
Is he gonna make it?
I don't know.
Who did this?
Stonebanks.
After years of waiting, we can finally say that we're less than a year away from seeing Expendables 4. The title of the movie has officially been announced as Expendables, and even though we had to wait a while, the release date has also been officially announced. As the filming began, everyone hoped for a late 2022 release date, but as much as the production wanted that, they ultimately decided to push the release date to 2023. Or to be more specific, Lionsgate has announced that the fourth installment of the franchise will hit theaters on 22nd September 2023. When the franchise first began, the first two movies were a huge hit, with the second one being especially popular, becoming one of the biggest box office successes of 2012. When the third movie arrived in 2014, it underperformed and became the lowest grossing movie of the franchise. As the third movie was considered the weakest link in the franchise, the production team had to smash that like button like you should be doing right now. But no, the production team had to go back and reflect on what they did wrong. Moving further with the fourth movie would mean that there had to be changes in directors and writers as well. The third installment was directed by Patrick Hughes, but now is replaced by Scott Moore, best known for directing the 2012 war film Act of Valor. The screenplay of the movie was a joint effort between Spencer Cohen, who's responsible for the film story, and Max Adams, who has worked in numerous film production studios throughout her career. After everything slowly came together, this movie was finally filmed and is now in post-production status. Although the movie has faced multiple delays throughout the years, we hope that the September 2023 release date sticks and we won't be faced with any more delays in the future. Waiting since 2014 to see another Expendables movie has been hard on all of us, and we can't wait to see our favorite vigilantes dive into another action-filled movie once again.
You got a better plan?
Much better.
Let's hear it.
Thorn, you're up.
Like all of the Expendables movies, we'll surely see some familiar faces. However, each movie in the franchise so far has included new actors, In the past, we've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger and Terry Crews join the cast, but with each move, Stallone and Jason Statham have been a constant. Currently, we couldn't even imagine having another Expendables movie without these two. They've been the leading characters in all three movies and are now returning to reprise their roles once again.
Where's the matter now?
I want to know who I'm working with.
The movie, however, will be the last time we'll see Stallone in the role of Barney Ross. The future of this franchise will be further left in Statham's hands, who will reportedly lead all future excursions for the battle-hardened gang. In some behind-the-scenes videos, we have already seen Statham show off his incredible fighting skills, so we can surely say that he's the man for the job. This movie will show us a lot of action moments, just like the previous movies did. Even though the main cast is set to return, including Dolph Lundgren and Randy Couture, the movie will also feature a bunch of new faces and new names to the franchise. Among the newcomers is Megan Fox, whose role is yet to be announced, but many have speculated that she'll smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. But no, in all seriousness, many have speculated that she'll portray the main female role in this movie. Fox is already familiar with action movies, having starred in the Transformers franchise, so having her in the Expendables will surely be a great fit. Former boxman and strongman Eddie Hall is also set to appear in the movie, likely as a new recruit of the gang or as one of the main villains. Alongside Hall, we'll also have the pleasure of seeing rapper Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent. The most important addition to this movie has been Io Uwais, a fight choreographer, stuntman, and martial artist. Uwais has been cast in the lead villain role.
We've lost override and the signal is jammed.
Send him in.
The Expendables began in 2010 by introducing Barney Ross, Lee Christmas, Gunnar Jensen, and Toll Road, among others, as a team of elite mercenaries who sign all kinds of contracts from government agencies around the world, including assassinations, rescue ops, and more. Currently, all plot details about this movie have been kept a secret by anyone involved in the movie's production. All we have been able to figure out is that Ross and his mercenary gang will square up against an arms dealer who commands the might of a massive private army. This arms dealer will most likely be played by Uwais, however, any further details are left unknown. Although plot details are kept under wraps, we're sure we'll see plenty of high-octane 80s style action. It's not easy to figure out what the storyline might be, but some believe that this movie will finally see Statham in the spotlight. We already mentioned that this is Stallone's last Expendables movie, and that after this, Statham will be the lead character of the franchise. So in order to set the story for future projects, we might see Lee Christmas in the spotlight with Ross riding shotgun. Many also have rumored that the movie might even carry the name A Christmas Story, which could further mean that Statham will be in the center of his fourth movie. In the previous movies, Lee Christmas has always been the right-hand man and second in command to Barney Ross. As Stallone is leaving the franchise, we assume that the movie will show us just how Ross exits the gang and how Christmas takes over. Could Ross die? Will he retire? Or will he simply have enough of all the fighting? We still don't know the exact answer to all of this, but we're sure to see a lot of action and many fighting scenes, including all of our favorite characters. Another theory is that the film will depict a nuclear conflict between Russia and the United States, and that the Expendables are drawn into it. Given that it will likely be the final installment, we should prepare for some emotional goodbye. Movies to compete with. The Fast and Furious family is nearing the end of its run with the two-part chapter of what will be the franchise's final installment. Every Fast and Furious sequel has significantly raised the bar. Street racing was the main focus of the first film, but by Fast 5, Dom and his crew were pulling off whole heists. They drove vehicles through skyscrapers in Fast and Furious 7, and in The Fate of the Furious, they prevented a nuclear holocaust. F9, which was released in the exact same year as the first film, but exactly 20 years later, increased the stakes with stunts like rope-swinging cars, a landmine field chase, and a rocket car.
Let's go for a little ride.
The street races of the first movie, which mainly focused on one police officer, played by Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor, pursuing one street racer, played by Vin Diesel's Dominic Toretto, are also a far cry from the global conspiracies and near-superhuman anti-heroes that Dom and company have had to deal with. The ninth entry, F9, drops some hints that the franchise hasn't completely lost its original essence, even though these elements appear to be long gone in the film. The race between Dom and Jacob, which is shown in the same strategy he used to beat Brian in the first race in 2001's The Fast and Furious. In F9 and all of the sequels since 2009's Fast and Furious, this scene comes with closest to capturing the mood and scope of the first film. Dom cares about his memories with Brian, and driving is more than just a way for him to get away from bullets and explosions. If the family cookout at the end of F9 is any indication, Dom and his crew are unable to forget where it all began. Even though they can travel to space and prevent threats from all over the world, Fast 10 and Fast and Furious 11 may tell a story that is a more intense version of the original film's plot if they want to end the franchise on a heartwarming note. Fast 10 will be released in theaters on May 19, 2023, marking a significant amount of time since Fast and Furious 9 drove its way into theaters. Fast 10's ability to hit its release date was questioned following Justin Lin's decision to resign as director. But now that Louis Leterrier is supposed to have taken over as director of Fast and Furious, the film may be able to get back on course and release on schedule. It happens after Universal announced that the movie's original April 7th release date would be postponed by 6 weeks. According to Vin Diesel, the next film will be split into 2 parts because there's a lot of ground to cover, especially when you take into account all of the locations they need to visit. While the release date for Part 2 of the film has not yet been announced, it's likely that it'll be soon enough. It makes sense that unless something extremely drastic happens, we'll be able to see the new movie in theaters since the previous one, F9, had one of the most successful theatrical runs of the pandemic era.
If you're gonna catch Dom, you guys are gonna work together. Surprise. I just fell in love.
Vin Diesel had to be part of the finale given the information about the entire family and the reunion of the original cast, right? Since Sung Kang unexpectedly returned as Han in the previous film, the family has expanded even further. As a result, we anticipate his return, as well as that of Michelle Rodriguez as Letty, Ludacris as Tej, Tyrese Gibson as Roman, Natalie Emanuel as Ramsey, and Jordana Brewster as Mia. This is how the main cast would look like, but we can probably expect a lot of cameo appearances from characters who appeared in the entire series, such as Bow Wow as Twinkie, Lucas Black as Sean Boswell, Jason Tobin as Earl Hu, and Shea Wiggum as Agent Stasiak. It's unclear what will happen to Kurt Russell's Mr. Nobody from the previous film, but given that he assisted Han in staging his death, you shouldn't be shocked if he appears to help Dom and his crew. Additionally, given that Charlize Theron's Cypher escaped in F9, we should expect to see her return as the antagonist once more in the upcoming films. Before we go any further, we wanted to let you know that it's time for you to smash that like button if you haven't done so already. We simply can't see the saga's finale without Brian O'Connor appearing as well. Whether it be in the form of a cameo or a flashback, he'll definitely play a part, whether it's through CGI magic or old footage from the archives. We can anticipate the return of Deckard Shaw, played by Jason Statham, and his mother Magdalene Queenie Shaw, portrayed by Helen Mirren, who were both seen in the F9 credits as Deckard Shaw returning to the main series. But perhaps most excitingly, Rita Moreno will play Dom's grandmother. Alan Ritchson will also be joining in on the fun in an unspecified role. Yes, that's actually happening.
I came here to take you down, little brother.
That's your mistake.
Plot details for the film have been kept under wraps, but there are a lot of things that can be considered about some minor but significant events that occurred prior to the finale we're all expecting to see. One thing about the upcoming 2-part finale that we can confidently predict is that Dom and his family will likely be faced with yet another mission to save the world, this time on a much larger scale. But there may also be some internal conflicts to resolve and threats coming from within the family. Fast 10 may turn to the crew's younger members, especially the kids of Dom and Brian. The movie could have ended with a flash forward showing how those kids grow up to become the next generation outstanding racer agents just like their parents. The possibilities for Fast 10, however, seem limitless given the history of previous films. The family has so far traveled to space. Who can predict where they will end up next? At first glance, time travel in a Fast and Furious film appears ridiculous. But is it? After introducing space travel, time travel may be the only thing left for the series to explore that can take it into even more bizarre territory. It could even turn the series' final chapters into a sort of Avengers, Infinity War, Avengers Endgame situation, bringing the entire story full circle in true Fast and Furious fashion. Fast 10 has a lot of secrets under the covers, according to Vin Diesel, who has revealed some of the plot's details.
Looks like the sons of London have followed us home. Remember Owen Shaw?
It'll be interesting to see what they do with Deckard Shaw's character in Fast and Furious 10 or another movie, though since F9 revealed Mr. Nobody assisted in staging Han's death, in the series' climactic scene, Deckard Shaw runs into Han and is shocked to see him alive. Given that he inadvertently assisted Han in keeping Project Ares secure, will Shaw let the past be at peace? Or perhaps Han's unexpected return will cause Shaw to once again turn evil? Besides that, it's possible that Shaw and his family will turn against Dom's team too in the upcoming film. With F9, the Fast and Furious series expanded the Toretto family tree
In an unexpected way, the only Toretto family member to appear in the first 8 films were Dominic Toretto and his younger sister Mia. The inclusion of Dom's father in F9 changed that, but the real shocker was the appearance of Dom's younger brother, who had never been seen in the previous movies. This brought up significant issues for the Fast and Furious series, which F9 largely ignored. Even after F9, there are still many questions about Jacob's past, but it's expected that John Cena will return to the role of Dom's brother in Fast 10. Did I mention that Dom's father, or Giselle, played by Gal Gadot, might make an unexpected comeback? And because of this, you need to smash that subscribe button and notification bell so you'll never miss any of our videos in the future. It's expected to be a massive story that takes the crew all over the world, so expect to see a lot of exotic locations and even more exotic vehicles. The only thing you can probably rule out in this universe is that it won't be a relaxed finale where they just hang out and relax.